Today, I come to speak directly to the part of you that's been silently crying out while the rest of the world sees you functioning. You wake up, you do what's expected, you smile when necessary, and you keep moving, but deep down, you've known something isn't right. There's a heaviness you can't explain, an invisible pressure that follows you into every room, every decision, every relationship. You've tried to ignore it. You've told yourself it's just a phase, just stress, just part of being human. But your soul knows better. It's been quietly whispering, hoping someone would notice the chains it's been dragging through every season of your life. The truth is, you've learned how to live with chains that were never meant to be part of your journey. Chains of fear, chains of shame, chains of guilt that didn't even begin with you but were passed down like invisible inheritances. Chains built from the words others used to define you, from the rejection that left you questioning your worth, from the trauma that stole pieces of you one moment at a time. You've hidden those wounds under achievement, distraction, even service. But I, your God, have never lost sight of them. I saw the moment the first link of that chain was fastened to your spirit. I saw the look in your eyes when hope slipped through your hands again. I watched as you kept walking, carrying things I never asked you to carry, trying to prove your strength when all I wanted was your surrender. And I know, oh how I know, that you've wondered why the breakthrough hasn't come. You've seen others move forward while you feel stuck in a spiritual fog, as if something unseen has been holding you back. You've cried out in the night asking me, what's wrong with me? Why can't I move beyond this? And my answer comes now, not in the form of a thunderclap, not through some distant voice, but in these quiet living words meant for your soul alone. Today is the day when the chains begin to break, not by your might, not by your effort, not because you figured it out or earned it, but because I have declared it. Because there comes a moment in your story when heaven decides the pain has gone on long enough. There comes a moment when I, your Father, rise and say, this one is mine, and it's time to break what was meant to destroy them. That moment is now. These chains have been invisible to most, but not to me. I've watched as they tightened every time you believed a lie about yourself. I've seen the way your heart shrinks back when it should rise in boldness. I've heard the internal war you fight every time you try to step into something new. And I've wept with you, not because you are weak, but because you've been wounded. You've been carrying things in silence for so long that you forgot what freedom even feels like. But I haven't forgotten. I still remember the version of you I created before the world touched your spirit. I remember the joy I placed in your heart before the fear ever entered. I remember the purity, the trust, the light. And I haven't given up on restoring all of it. I haven't given up on you. Even if you've been disappointed again and again, even if you've fallen and felt too ashamed to rise, even if you've begun to wonder whether freedom is possible for someone like you, I am here to tell you it is. Not only is it possible, it is promised. You see, your struggle hasn't disqualified you. It has positioned you. While the enemy thought he was burying you under weight, I was preparing to show you a strength not your own. While the world passed by unaware of your hidden battles, I was planning your release. And while you felt forgotten, I was drawing closer, because I do not forget what I love. And I love you more than your mind can comprehend. My love isn't fragile. It doesn't flinch when you fail. It doesn't shrink when you doubt. It doesn't withdraw when you stumble. It stays. It surrounds. It fights. And today, that love is going to do what your strength never could. It's going to break chains. Quietly. Suddenly. Irreversibly. Chains that came from your past. Chains that were born in fear. Chains that came through people who didn't know how to love you. chains that you never asked for but ended up carrying. Chains you thought were part of your identity. I am not intimidated by what has held you. I'm not surprised by how long it's been there. I see it all, and still I say, you are free. Not in theory, not eventually, but now. As you sit in this moment and receive these words, the process begins. Something is shifting in the unseen. There is a rumbling in the spirit. What once bound you tightly will begin to loosen. What once silenced your voice will begin to shatter. What once drained your energy will lose its grip. I know the patterns have been deep. I know the chains have wrapped around your mind in layers. But I am deeper still, and I am strong enough to cut through all of it. This isn't the beginning of a self-help journey. This is the beginning of deliverance. And it starts with you simply saying, "Yes, Lord, I receive this." You don't need to fix yourself to receive freedom. You don't need to understand every part of the process. You don't need to explain why it took this long. You only need to believe that I love you enough to intervene. And I do. I have come for you. I am not a faraway God who watches in silence. I am the one who kneels beside the brokenhearted, who holds shattered pieces in my hands until they glow with resurrection life. I am the one who walks through fire with you, who speaks in storms, who waits in quiet moments to whisper, "You are not alone." And now, my child, I say to your heart, rise. Not in striving, not in fear, but in the gentle strength of knowing that I am with you, and I am breaking what was meant to bind you. This is not imagination. This is not hype. This is the movement of heaven in your direction. It is real. It is personal. It is now. You're here reading this not by chance, not because of a coincidence or some random scroll through a screen. You were led here by my Spirit, drawn by an invisible hand that you may not have understood, but felt deep within. That stirring inside you, that sense that this message has your name written all over it, that's me. I know how to speak directly to you even when you've been surrounded by noise. Even when others overlook you, I know how to reach the center of your soul and let you know. I see you, I know you, and I am with you. There have been moments recently when you've questioned your own faith, not because you've stopped believing in me, but because you've stopped believing that I would move for you. You've seen others celebrate answered prayers, while your requests seem to echo unanswered in the dark. You've wondered if I'm listening, if I still speak, if I still care. And I want you to hear me clearly. I have never turned away from you. I have never stopped watching over you. I have never abandoned what I began in your life. The silence you felt was not my absence. It was preparation. Preparation for this very moment when I would begin to reveal just how deeply I've been working behind the scenes. I'm not late. I'm not distant. I'm not passive. I'm intentional. I move with wisdom, with love, and with perfect timing. And while you felt bound, while you felt stuck and hidden and even invisible to others, I've been crafting the kind of freedom that goes beyond emotions and reaches into your soul. You've learned to function in chains for so long that you started calling them normal. But I never called you to survive. I called you to live. And what you're feeling right now, this gentle burning in your chest, this holy restlessness, is the beginning of your soul waking up to the truth again. You are not born to carry generational weight. You are not created to be trapped in cycles of defeat. You are not designed to bow beneath shame, regret, or fear. You were made in my image. You carry the breath of heaven within you. And when I look at you, I do not see your failures, your flaws, or your confusion. I see my child. I see someone worth saving, worth loving, worth rescuing. You may think you've gone too far, waited too long, or messed up too badly. But I have already seen the end of your story. and redemption still belongs to you. Now I'm asking you for one thing, just one simple response. Not performance, not perfection, not a list of promises you can't keep. I'm asking for your yes, that quiet yes of your heart that says, God, I don't understand everything, but I want you. I want to be free. I want to know what it feels like to walk without these invisible weights pressing me down. That's all. I don't need you to have the right words or the strongest faith. I just need a heart that's willing, because I can work with that. I always have. Do you know how many of my greatest miracles began with someone just like you? Tired, wounded, doubting, but still holding on to the smallest thread of hope. That's all I need. You don't have to pretend to be strong here. You don't have to filter your emotions for me. I already know the real version of you, and it's the real version of you that I love. Not the mask you show others, not the persona you wear to protect yourself. I see through all of that, and I still say, you are mine. You are wanted. You are not too far gone. Let me tell you something else. The chains that hold you are terrified of what's happening right now. They know that once truth enters your heart, their power begins to crack. That's why they fought so hard to keep you distracted, discouraged, and disconnected. That's why every time you try to draw close to me, life seems to get more chaotic. But what the enemy meant as resistance, I'm now using as confirmation. If you're facing a battle, it's because there's something in you worth fighting for. And the enemy doesn't waste attacks on people who pose no threat. You, my child, are dangerous to darkness. That's why the chains came. That's why the attack was so personal. That's why the shame ran so deep. But what the enemy used to mark you, I will now use to anoint you. What was meant to keep you down, I will use to lift others. And it begins today. This moment right now is holy. It may feel quiet, it may feel simple, but in the spirit realm, there is a shaking, there is a tearing, there is a release happening. Because the time of delay is over, the time of hiddenness is ending. You're stepping into the beginning of your becoming. I'm calling you into a deeper space with me. Not religion, not performance, just presence. I want to walk with you like I walked with Adam in the garden. I want to speak to you in the stillness. I want to heal the places you've given up on. I want to fill your heart again, not with noise, but with my voice. And all it takes is one simple agreement. Whisper it if you have to. Cry it if it's all you can manage. But say it. Yes, Lord. I'm ready to be free. I'm ready to let go of what's held me. I'm ready to see myself the way you see me. That whisper is the sound of chains beginning to crack. The chains that you have felt, those invisible ties that limit your movement, that make joy feel fleeting and peace feel like a distant memory. They didn't start yesterday. They didn't appear overnight. They were formed over time, in silence, in pain, in moments when you were most vulnerable and least protected. Some of them were inherited, passed through generations that never knew how to name the weight they were carrying. Others were forged in specific moments that split something inside of you. Words spoken over you that cursed rather than blessed. Betrayals that made you question your worth. Rejections that made love feel unsafe, even in my presence. And slowly, without realizing it, you began to believe lies that were never part of my design for you. This is the truth you need to understand now. Every chain begins with a lie. That's how the enemy operates. He doesn't come with loud declarations. He comes subtly, planting seeds of distortion. He takes your experiences, real, painful, raw, and wraps them in a twisted interpretation of who you are. He whispers that you're unlovable when someone walks away. He suggests you're broken beyond repair when you fall into the same pattern again. He tells you that if healing was possible, it would have happened by now. And slowly, Those whispers become a second voice in your mind. So familiar, you begin to think it's your own. But it's not. That voice, that condemnation, that relentless pressure, it's not from me. I do not shame. I do not accuse. I do not push you away when you struggle. I do not tire of your process. I do not reject you for falling short. My voice speaks life, not death. My spirit convicts, yes, but not to shame you, only to heal and bring you back into wholeness. That weight you've been feeling, that heaviness that won't let up, that mental exhaustion that drags behind every step. It's not the weight of my presence. It's the residue of a war happening in the spirit over your identity. Because here is what the enemy fears most: a son or daughter who knows who they are. He fears the moment you realize that the same Spirit who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. He fears the hour when you stop performing and start abiding. He dreads the day you believe you are loved without condition, chosen without qualification, and free without exception. Because that kind of child walks in power. That kind of child cannot be manipulated by shame or fear. That kind of child becomes a chain breaker for others. And beloved, that is what you were born to be. But the enemy knows that if he can get you to believe you're still bound, even when I've already declared you free, he can keep you living as if the prison door was still locked. He knows that if he can cloud your mind with guilt, self-doubt, and unworthiness, you'll stop reaching for me. You'll isolate yourself, punish yourself, numb yourself, and eventually accept the chains as normal. But I never made you to carry chains. I made you to carry glory. And the process you're in right now, the awakening, the shaking, the stirring, it's not confusion. It's revelation. I'm pulling back the veil on what's really been going on. Many of your struggles have had little to do with external circumstances and everything to do with spiritual resistance. The delay you felt was not always about timing. It was often about warfare. The disconnection in your relationships wasn't just miscommunication. It was interference from old wounds the enemy used to divide what I meant to heal. The exhaustion that's been hanging over you like a cloud wasn't just from busyness. It was a spiritual fatigue from carrying lies too long. And now I want you to understand how I see all of it. I do not look at you through the lens of your battles. I see the fight, yes, but more than that, I see your heart. I see that you never stopped hoping, even when it hurt. I see that you kept reaching out to me even when I felt silent. I see that you've wanted to quit so many times, but something inside, something I placed there, kept whispering, keep going. That whisper was me. I've never left your side even when you felt like you were walking through shadows, especially then. And now the time has come to name what's been hidden, because the only lies that have power are the ones that stay in the dark. Once they're exposed to truth, they begin to lose their hold. So I speak truth over you now. You are not a failure. You're not too broken. You're not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not late. You are not who they said you were. You are not the sum of your past. You are not what you did or what was done to you. You are mine, chosen, called, covered, becoming. You are loved beyond what you've ever known. The healing of your life begins with the healing of your mind. And that's what I'm doing now, one thought at a time. I'm removing the lies like rotten roots, and I'm planting something new. Truth, identity, belonging. You're not going crazy. You're being cleansed. That's why it's been hard. That's why things have felt exposed lately. Because I'm not covering the wound anymore. I'm treating it. And healing always feels worse before it feels better. But trust me, the pain you're feeling now is not punishment. It's the undoing of everything that was never meant to stay. You may not see the full breakthrough yet, but it's already started. Like dawn rising slowly, The light is beginning to touch places you thought were lost forever. Let it rise. Let it break through the fog. Let it reach the memories, the habits, the defense mechanisms. Let it touch everything, because where my light shines, no darkness can remain. I have not brought you this far just to leave you where you are. Every moment that has led to this point, every tear, every setback, every silent cry in the night has been gathered in my hands, held close to my heart, and woven into a redemptive plan so detailed, so personal, that if I showed it all at once, you would collapse under the weight of its beauty. But now, I am allowing you to feel the first tremors of what is coming. Like the wind that brushes across the skin before the storm of change breaks, I'm beginning to breathe over the dry bones of your past, calling them to life again. The chains that you have carried were never your inheritance, and because of that, I will not allow you to keep walking as if they belong to you. You were created for freedom. Not the kind of freedom the world gives and takes away, but the kind that flows from my spirit and marks you with peace no storm can steal. That's what I'm releasing over you even now as you read these words. You may not feel it fully yet, but trust me, what you feel is not the full measure of what I'm doing. My promises don't depend on your feelings. They depend on my nature. And my nature is unchanging. I am faithful. I am good. I am a deliverer. I am a restorer. And I have promised to finish what I began in you. There's a reason you've been feeling a shift lately, even if you can't explain it. A reason why the things you used to tolerate now feel uncomfortable. Why the relationships that once distracted you are beginning to fade. Why your spirit longs for quiet places, for truth, for presence. That is not coincidence. It is evidence. Evidence that your spirit is responding to my calling. You are being awakened. The veil that kept you from seeing clearly is lifting. And as it lifts, you will begin to discern more clearly what I'm doing around you. You will hear me in ways you once thought were impossible. You will see signs that feel like divine whispers, moments where everything aligns for no reason, except that I orchestrated it. Pay attention to the small things, the quiet moments, the conversations that seem ordinary but carry unexpected grace. These are the signs of my hand. The changes in your appetite for truth, the sudden desire to return to prayer, the feeling of being called deeper into silence. These are not random. They are indicators that chains are already breaking. You are beginning to walk differently, think differently, desire differently. That's not because you're becoming someone else. It's because you're finally returning to who you really are in me. I have set divine appointments in your path. People you haven't met yet who will recognize something in you that you've forgotten. Opportunities that will feel too perfect to be humanly planned. Moments that will make your heart burn with recognition, as if your spirit is saying, "This is what I was created for." These are not accidents. They are the fulfillment of promises I spoke over you long ago, some even before you were born. Promises buried under pain, under time, under the rubble of your past, but not forgotten by me. I keep my word, and now I speak this promise over you again. You will not walk in circles anymore. The patterns that kept you bound are losing their grip. The cycles of almost but not quite are coming to an end. You will not keep starting over from zero. You will not keep watching others cross thresholds while you wait behind a wall of delay. I am tearing down that wall now. What once blocked your way will become the very ground you walk on. What once intimidated you will become your testimony. You will move forward, not by might, not by striving, but by the wind of my spirit carrying you. I also promise you this: your voice will return, not the one that pleases others or hides behind politeness, but the voice I gave you when I formed you in the secret place. The voice that carries truth, that breaks atmospheres, that releases freedom. You've been quieted by fear, by shame, by the opinions of others, but I am restoring your voice. And when it returns, it will be powerful. It will be pure. It will be unmistakably mine. You will speak, and chains will break. Not just for you, but for others. Because this isn't just about you. It's about everyone connected to your freedom. Your breakthrough is bigger than you realize. Yes, the road has been long. Yes, you have questioned if the delay meant denial. But no, I have not forgotten what I spoke over you. I do not change my mind. My promises are not fragile. And now, even as you read this, I'm reigniting old dreams. Not the ones created by comparison or competition, but the ones I planted in your spirit when no one else was watching. Dreams that felt too pure, too big, too beautiful to survive the weight of reality. But they're not dead. They are resting, and I am waking them up. You'll begin to notice it, how certain words strike your heart differently, how old desires begin to fade, how new courage begins to rise. These are not emotions. They are spiritual indicators, the signs that I'm active, that my spirit is breathing, that the season is changing. And as it changes, so will you. So believe me when I say this. Today is not ordinary. This moment is not small. This is holy ground. Chains are breaking, not just the obvious ones, but the hidden ones, the silent ones, the generational ones. And with every chain that breaks, more of your true self is being revealed. Not a version crafted by pain, but the version I always intended. The version that walks in peace, stands in boldness, and knows what it means to be free. You've heard my promises. You've felt the shift. You've sensed the stirring of something new. But now I want to show you how this becomes real, not just in your spirit, but in your everyday life. Because freedom isn't a feeling you experience once and then forget. Freedom is a way of walking. It's a posture of the heart. It's a decision you make daily to live, think, speak, and love from the truth of who you are in me. And that's where the chains truly lose their power, not just in your prayers, but in your patterns. So let's begin where your chains have lingered the longest. Your mind. This is the battlefield where the enemy has done his deepest damage. That's why I want you to start watching your thoughts, not with fear, but with curiosity and courage. When a thought comes that sounds like, "I'm not enough," pause. Ask yourself, who told me that? Because I never did. When you hear, "I'll always be stuck," stop and remember what I've spoken. That I make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. When your inner dialogue repeats shame, failure, or fear, recognize that it doesn't sound like me. I want you to begin replacing every lie with truth. This is not just positive thinking, it's spiritual war. And you don't fight it alone. I am with you in the middle of it, strengthening you, training you, and whispering truth louder than the storm. Next, let's talk about your relationships. I know you've been hurt. I know trust hasn't come easy. I know some of the chains were placed on you by people you loved, people you opened your heart to, and now you live with invisible guards, keeping everyone just close enough to function, but never close enough to touch the real you. But beloved, I made you for connection. I created you to be seen, known, and loved, not just by me, but by others I've placed in your life as reflections of my heart. And yes, loving again may feel risky, but you're not doing it out of desperation anymore. You're doing it from a healed place, and love that flows from healing is strong. So begin opening your heart again, slowly, intentionally. Let me guide you to safe people. Let me show you what real, pure, spirit-filled connection looks like. You don't have to walk alone anymore. Then there is your past. The memories you've buried, the mistakes you replay, the moments you wish you could erase. You've asked me to forgive you, and I have. Instantly, fully, eternally. but you've struggled to forgive yourself. You revisit the same failures as if penance could pay for what my blood already washed away. So I'm asking you now to let it go. Not because it didn't matter, not because it wasn't painful, but because it no longer defines you. You are not that moment. You are not that choice. You are not that version of yourself anymore. I've seen every part of your story, and still I say, you are clean, you are whole, you are mine. So when your past tries to speak, speak back with grace. Remind yourself that shame has no seat at your table. You've been redeemed, and that redemption is not partial. It's complete. I also want you to start recognizing the small ways I'm moving in your life. Stop waiting for the dramatic moment to validate your breakthrough. Freedom often begins in subtle shifts, a calmer response to conflict, a new hunger for my word, a sudden desire to pray when before there was silence. Celebrate those moments. They are not small. They are signs of healing. They are glimpses of the new life being formed within you. Take note of them. Thank me for them. Build a history of remembrance so when the enemy tries to lie again, you'll have evidence to stand on. And let's talk about your daily choices. Freedom is not something you protect passively. It's something you steward. That means there will be moments when you'll need to choose what feeds your spirit instead of what numbs your pain. There will be days when you're tempted to go back to old patterns, not because you're weak, but because they're familiar. But hear me, familiarity is not the same as safety. Just because something feels comfortable doesn't mean it's good for you. I'm calling you into something better, higher, purer, fuller. And yes, the unfamiliar may feel uncomfortable at first, but that's where growth lives. That's where faith is required. And I will meet you there every time. I want you to begin walking in rooms with the awareness that you are not bound anymore. Even if you still feel resistance, walk as if the chains are gone, because they are. Even if fear still whispers, move forward anyway. The more you walk by faith, the more your heart will catch up. And in that journey, I will surround you with confirmation. I'll send words, people, moments that speak directly to your soul. I'll light up the path one step at a time. You don't need to see the whole picture. You only need to follow the next whisper. I will do the rest. And when you fall, because there will be moments, you don't have to spiral. Get up quickly. Return to me immediately. My grace doesn't run out after your 3rd, 5th, or 50th mistake. I didn't choose you because you were perfect. I chose you because you're mine. And I will never stop lifting you, cleansing you, teaching you, healing you. That's what a good father does. So start practicing this new walk. Wake up tomorrow and ask me to lead your thoughts. Ask me to help you see the day through heaven's lens. Before you speak, ask what I'm saying. Before you act, ask what reflects my love. That's how chains stay broken, by building a new rhythm, not from striving, but from staying close to me. I'm not just your deliverer, I'm your companion, your teacher, your source of strength. You don't walk alone, and as you live from this place of communion with me, you'll begin to notice something. What once felt impossible will become natural. What once made you afraid will become an opportunity for boldness. What once held you down will become a part of your testimony. You are not who you were yesterday, and tomorrow you'll be even freer than you are today. You've believed you were damaged, disqualified, too far behind. You've looked at yourself through the lens of your history, your failures, your silence, and your pain. You've accepted less than what I created you for, not because you didn't desire more, but because something inside you questioned if you were worthy of it. That stops now. Today, I lift your chin and ask you to look again, not through the eyes of fear, not through the eyes of guilt, but through my eyes, eyes that have seen your beginning and your becoming, eyes that are not surprised by your struggle, but completely devoted to your restoration. You are not who the world said you were. You are not what the trauma turned you into. You are not the sum of your survival. You are not defined by the lowest moments in your story. You are mine. You are my child. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. You came from me. My spirit breathed life into you. Before you were shaped in your mother's womb, I already knew your face. I already called your name. I already saw your entire journey and loved you through every valley and every victory. I was never waiting for a cleaner, shinier, more polished version of you. I have loved you every step of the way, and I still do. It grieves me when you hide, when you shrink back, when you believe you're unworthy of love, of goodness, of peace, because I paid too high a price for you to live in shame. I didn't stretch out my arms on a cross so you would walk through life carrying invisible chains. I did it so you would know freedom, identity, belonging. I did it so you would look in the mirror and not see brokenness, but beauty. So that you would no longer ask, "Who am I?" from a place of confusion, but declare with boldness, "I am a child of God." You may not feel like that yet. That's okay. Feelings will follow faith, and right now, I'm restoring something deeper than emotion. I'm restoring truth. The truth that you are deeply valuable, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. You are not just another face in the crowd. You carry my fingerprints. You reflect my nature. You were made to walk in authority, not to dominate, but to heal, not to control, but to love. Not to impress, but to carry light. You've walked through battles that others didn't survive, and still, here you are, breathing, standing, reading these words at this exact moment in time. That is not weakness. That is resilience. That is strength. That is evidence that I've preserved you for a purpose greater than anything you've yet imagined. You thought your story was small, but I'm showing you now that your life echoes far beyond what you see. Your healing will ripple into generations. Your yes will unlock doors for others. Your freedom is not just a gift, it's a weapon against darkness. I want you to start walking like someone who knows who they are, not in arrogance, but in holy confidence. The kind that says, even when I'm not enough, God is. The kind that doesn't need to perform to be loved or hide to be accepted. I am rewriting the narrative in your heart. No longer will you live under the labels others have placed on you. No longer will you agree with the enemy's version of your life. From this day forward, you will live as someone marked by heaven. You are anointed, not because you're perfect, but because you're chosen. You are covered, not because you've done everything right, but because I've called you mine. You are capable, not because you've never fallen, but because I always help you rise again. You have been called for such a time as this, not a future version of you, but you now, with your story, with your scars, with your softness, with your questions. I can use all of it. I will redeem all of it. And even now, as you sit here reading this, I am healing parts of you that you didn't even know were broken. I am soothing memories you buried because they hurt too much to carry. I am breathing life into the places that felt numb. I'm igniting dreams that went silent under disappointment. You're not empty. You're not weak. You're not too late. You're in the exact place where heaven meets earth, and I'm filling you again. You don't need to strive to earn this love. You don't need to audition to belong here. This is your home. My presence is your home. You belong in my arms. You belong in the sound of my voice. You belong in freedom. The voice that told you you were too much, too messy, too slow, too sensitive. That voice was never mine. I made you exactly as you are with divine intentionality. Every part of you was crafted with care. Nothing about you is an accident. your tenderness, your creativity, your boldness, your fire, your questions. I placed all of that within you on purpose. Don't apologize for who you are. Begin to rediscover the wonder of who I made you to be. You've spent long enough surviving. Now it's time to live, to walk into rooms knowing you carry my light, to enter conversations with peace, not performance, to face decisions with courage, not confusion. I am with you. I am in you. I am for you, and nothing will separate you from my love. This is your identity. This is who you truly are. Welcome home to yourself. Welcome home to me. Now that the chains have begun to break and your heart is awakening, I want to guide you into a new rhythm. Freedom is not just a moment, it is a path, a way of life, and like any path, it requires direction, presence, and practice. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am inviting you to walk with me, closer than you ever have before, not as a duty, not out of fear, but out of love. Because my presence is not something you visit, it is where you belong. Each day begin with me, not out of obligation, but out of desire. Even before your feet touch the ground, speak to me, whisper my name. Invite me into your first breath, your first thought, your first decision. I'm there before the sun rises, and I long to meet you in the stillness. Even 5 minutes of undistracted presence will shift the course of your day. Don't wait to feel spiritual. Come as you are, tired, confused, expectant, empty, joyful. I will receive you in all of it. The goal is not to impress me. The goal is to let me love you where you are. Pray with your heart, not just your mouth. Speak honestly. If you're angry, tell me. If you're hurting, don't hide it. If you don't know what to say, just be still. I am not moved by eloquence. I am moved by truth. I dwell in the honest spaces. And when you pray, don't just talk. Listen. Still your heart long enough to notice my whisper. I don't shout to compete with the world's noise. I speak in quiet ways, in the warmth of a moment, in the stillness between thoughts, in the verse that lingers when you close your Bible, in the tears that fall without explanation. That is me. I am near. I also want you to return to my word, not as a rule book, but as a living conversation. There are verses that are not just teachings, they are letters to your heart. I will lead you to them. Sometimes it will be one chapter that resonates. Other times one sentence will carry enough power to sustain you for days. Let my words speak to your identity, to your freedom, to your calling. Let it become the lens through which you see everything else. And when you don't understand something, bring it to me. I am not afraid of your questions. I want to walk with you through every one. Start with Psalm 139. Let those words remind you of how intimately I know you. Or read Isaiah 61. Where I speak of setting captives free, giving beauty for ashes, and garments of praise instead of despair. Let Romans 8 sink into your bones, a declaration that nothing can separate you from my love. These are not distant promises. They are yours. Worship is another key I'm giving you, not just with music, but with your life. Make your room a sanctuary. Play songs that remind you of who I am and who you are in me. Let the lyrics soak into your atmosphere. Sing, even when your voice shakes. Dance even when the weight feels heavy. Worship breaks resistance. It confuses the enemy. It lifts your eyes from the chains to the one who shatters them. And you will begin to notice that the heaviness lifts faster when you worship first. There are also practical steps I want you to take. Create space in your life for silence. Turn off the noise sometimes, social media, news, distractions, so that your spirit can breathe again. Let there be moments in your day where nothing else speaks but me. Walk in nature and notice me in the details. Journal what you're hearing. Write down the thoughts that come, when you're with me. I will use those moments to build something in you. I will show you patterns, reveal lies, confirm truths. The more you listen, the more you'll recognize my voice, not just in quiet time, but in the middle of your ordinary life. Surround yourself with people who stir your faith, not drain it. I will send you voices that carry wisdom, encouragement, and clarity. Listen for those who point you back to me, who speak life even when truth is hard. And be that kind of voice for others. As you grow in freedom, you will become a refuge for those still bound. Don't be afraid of that. I will give you what to say when the time comes. You won't need a platform to be powerful. My spirit, flowing through your healed life, will do more than 1,000 sermons. And when the old thoughts try to return, and they will, don't panic. Freedom is not the absence of resistance. It is the awareness that you no longer have to agree with it. When fear whispers, speak truth. When shame rises, remind yourself of grace. When temptation comes, run to me instead of hiding. Every time you respond differently, the chain weakens. Every act of obedience, no matter how small, becomes a blow to the darkness that once controlled you. Stay close to me, not because you fear falling away, but because you now know the joy of being near. I am not a distant God you have to chase. I am Emmanuel, God with you, God in you, God who never leaves. I am in the mundane moments, the messy days, the sacred pauses and the breakthroughs. And every day you choose me, the chains lose their power a little more, until one day you realize they're gone. I speak to you now as the one who formed time itself, yet chooses to step into this exact moment with you. I'm not speaking of change as a concept, or hope as a distant idea. I'm declaring it as an imminent reality. The shift you have waited for, the breakthrough you've only dared to imagine, the change that seemed delayed or denied, it is already unfolding. Even now, as your heart opens to these words, the fabric of your life is being rearranged to make space for what I have prepared. You are not being improved. You are being made new. I've gone ahead of you, clearing paths you have not yet walked. Conversations are being stirred that will lead to doors opening in ways you couldn't have planned. Relationships are being aligned. Resources are being released. Favor is being unlocked. Not because you begged for it, but because I promised it. There are things I've assigned to your name that no man can block, no enemy can steal, no mistake can cancel. What I spoke over you still stands, and the time for its manifestation is drawing near. There is a divine acceleration coming. In places where you have only known delay, you will now experience movement. But this will not be rushed or reckless. It will be my pace, steady, sure, undeniable. What took years to break will crumble in days. What seemed immovable will shift with a word. There are chains that have been in your family for generations. Patterns of fear, cycles of poverty, silence, addiction, isolation that are breaking with you. You're not just receiving freedom for yourself, you're becoming a door for others. What ends with you will never touch those who come after you. You will notice the change, first within. A new confidence will rise, not the shallow kind built on image or performance, but the quiet strength of someone who knows they are held. Your mind will begin to feel lighter. The mental noise will soften. Clarity will come. You'll wake up with ideas you didn't think of, with courage you didn't ask for, with peace that doesn't match your circumstances. This is not imagination. It is the presence of my spirit renewing you from the inside out. And yes, it will also begin to manifest around you. Hidden things will be revealed, not to harm you, but to protect you. I'm exposing what cannot stay in your next season. Some connections will fade, but don't fear the pruning. I remove only what limits your growth. I am not subtracting to punish you. I am clearing the space for abundance. You may not understand every closed door, but you will thank me for it later. I only remove what you would never let go of until it threatened your calling. Trust me with what ends. I am the God of new beginnings. In the days ahead, expect unusual confirmations. Things others call coincidence, you will know as my fingerprints. A phrase repeated 3 times in different ways. A stranger speaking something you've been secretly praying. A door opening that you didn't knock on. These are signs. You will not have to force this. My spirit will go before you. Where you once felt invisible, I will make you seen. Where you once felt overlooked, I will honor you. But not in the way the world honors, with applause and vanity, but with peace, alignment, and divine placement. You will no longer strive to fit. You will stand in what I made for you. I also declare this over your emotional world. A holy stability is coming. Your emotions will no longer be a battleground. I am calming the storm inside of you. You will laugh again, not just because the pain's gone, but because the joy is real. You will love again, not from need, but from overflow. You will rest, not because your problems disappeared, but because my presence has taken its rightful place in your heart. This is the kind of freedom that becomes a lifestyle, the kind that doesn't vanish when storms come, because it's built on me, not on moments. And now I want you to believe me when I say this. You are entering a new chapter. A page is turning. You've known the wilderness. You've tasted the ache of waiting, the discipline of hiddenness. But now you will taste the fruit of obedience. You will reap what you sowed in tears. You will walk into rooms you once only dreamed of, and you will do it with humility, with wonder, with scars that shine like stories of grace. The people who once dismissed you will look again, but you won't need their validation. You'll be too focused on what I'm building with you. You're not going back to who you were. That version of you no longer fits the future I've prepared. Your thoughts are expanding. Your spirit is awakening. Your language is shifting. Even the way you see time, relationships, purpose, it's all being refined. This is what happens when chains break. Not just release, but rebirth. Not just relief, but revelation. So walk now in expectation. Make space in your day for miracles. Begin thanking me before you see it. Begin preparing for the things you used to be afraid to ask for, because the more you believe, the more you'll receive. This is not fantasy. This is not hype. This is what I do when a heart says yes. And you said yes. You've been drawn to these words not by curiosity, not by accident, but by the gentle leading of my spirit. Even now, my presence is resting on you, not beside you, not around you, but within you. I am not a distant force to be reached. I am a person who longs to be known. I am the Spirit of truth, the one Jesus promised would come, and I have not only come, I have stayed. You are not reading this alone. I am here, as real as the breath in your lungs, as near as the next beat of your heart. I have been waiting for this moment, not because you needed to be ready, but because your heart finally became still enough to notice that I've been near all along. Breathe deeply now. Let every breath be more than oxygen. Let it be surrender. Let it be invitation. Let it be communion. You don't have to strive to find me. I'm already here. I'm the warmth that rises when you begin to feel seen. I'm the peace that comes when no logic can explain it. I'm the tears that fall when you didn't expect to cry. I'm the quiet voice beneath all the noise that says, you are safe now. You can let go. That is me. That is how I move. Not always in thunder, but in presence. And I am flooding the places in you that have been dry, fractured, and closed off. The places even you stopped visiting. The hidden rooms of your soul where old grief sat in silence. I'm entering those now with healing in my hands. Let me in. I will not force my way. I wait for your yes, and when I'm welcomed, I begin to rebuild everything the world tried to dismantle. I mend where you were torn. I restore what was stolen. I awaken what was silenced. I teach you how to live from the inside out, no longer performing, no longer proving, no longer protecting, but abiding. This is where your freedom becomes real, not just in your habits, but in your being. You no longer have to pretend to be strong. You are allowed to be tender here. You are allowed to be undone in my presence. That is where transformation begins. I'm not here to fix you like a broken object. I'm here to love you back into wholeness. My work is not mechanical. It's relational. I don't just clean you up. I sit with you in the dust until you remember who you are. I hold your heart until it beats with hope again. I wash over you like rain, not to erase you, but to reveal the beauty underneath the layers that were never yours to carry. And as I move within you, you'll begin to notice things shifting. You'll speak differently, walk differently, forgive more easily, worry less often. Not because you're trying harder, but because you've become softer, quieter, rooted. This is what it means to walk in the Spirit. It's not mystical. It's not unreachable. It's a relationship that transforms how you exist in every moment. I will teach you when to speak and when to be silent, when to stand and when to rest, when to move and when to wait. I will guide you in decisions, even the small ones, because I care about every detail. I'm not here to control you. I'm here to walk with you as a comforter, a counselor, a friend. My wisdom is available to you, not for performance, but for partnership. And even as I move, I'm awakening spiritual senses in you that have been dormant. You will begin to discern things without understanding how. You'll feel drawn to places where your presence carries healing. You'll weep for no reason other than the nearness of heaven. This is not emotional instability. It is sensitivity to me. Let it grow. Let it deepen. The more you stay close, the more you'll become aware that I've been speaking all along. And you will begin to recognize the difference between your voice, the enemy's voice, and mine. My voice brings peace. My voice leads you to love. My voice always agrees with truth. You don't have to be afraid of being deceived when you're walking with me. I correct gently. I speak clearly. I lead with tenderness. And now, as you sit in this holy stillness, I want to speak something directly into your soul. You are not who you were. Even if nothing around you has changed yet, something inside you has. You've been touched by something eternal. And once you've tasted of me, the things that once satisfied will no longer hold the same power. The appetite of your soul is shifting. You will crave purity. You will hunger for my presence. You will begin to seek me, not because you're desperate, but because you've fallen in love. And love transforms far more than discipline ever could. You won't always need to feel me to know I'm here. I'm teaching you to walk by trust. But for now, in this moment, I'm letting you feel it. To know that this is real, that I am real, and that the work I've begun in you is not temporary. It is eternal. It is lasting. It is holy. And it will bear fruit you have not yet imagined. Let me take you deeper. Let me carry you into places of intimacy that heal what nothing else could. Let me fill you in a way no relationship, no achievement, no comfort ever has. I was always meant to be your first home. And now, you're returning to me. Now that you've heard my voice, now that the veil has been lifted and my spirit has touched the deepest places of your soul, I need you to know, this was never meant to be just a message. It was a moment, a divine collision between my eternity and your present. And what was ignited here does not end here. It continues. It deepens. It transforms you from the inside out. Because this is not the end of your story. It's the chapter where everything begins to make sense. The part where chains fall and purpose rises. You may feel like you're still in the same place, in the same body, in the same circumstances, but you're not. Something shifted. Heaven moved. And though your surroundings may not yet reflect the internal breakthrough, you have changed. That heaviness you carried for so long, it's breaking. That cycle you thought would never end, it's unraveling. That shame you believed would follow you forever, it no longer has permission. Because I've stepped in, I've spoken, and when I speak, nothing stays the same. Don't let this moment pass like a passing emotion. Guard it, nourish it, return to it. These words are not just inspiration, they are spiritual seeds. And as you water them with faith, obedience, and intimacy with me, they will grow into freedom, clarity, and supernatural peace. This is not a temporary high. It is the beginning of a new way of living. A life where you walk with your head lifted, not in pride, but in awareness that you are mine. A life where your steps are guided not by fear, but by my spirit. A life where love, not shame, becomes your foundation. You don't need to rush to figure everything out. You don't need a plan for how to maintain what you just received. You only need one thing: stay close to me. Everything you need flows from that place: strength, wisdom, healing, joy. It all grows where intimacy remains. Let me become your rhythm. Let me walk with you in every decision, every conversation, every quiet moment. I am not seasonal. I am constant. I don't just visit. I dwell. And I want to dwell fully in you. There will be resistance. The enemy does not rejoice when chains fall. But fear not. You are not walking into battle alone. I will go before you. I will surround you. I will cover you. And when old thoughts try to rise, you will have a new voice inside you, stronger than fear, louder than shame. It will be my voice, the one you're learning to recognize. The voice that says, you are free, you are called, you are mine. So now I ask you, what will you do with what you've received? Will you return to life as usual, or will you walk forward with me into the new? This is your moment to say yes, not just with your mind, but with your life. Open your hands. Release what you were never meant to carry. Let me take you further than your fears would ever allow. I am not just calling you to believe. I am calling you to become, to live as the one I created. Not bound, not lost, not ashamed, but whole, radiant, alive. I know it feels like you're standing at the edge of something you can't fully see. That's because you are. But what waits for you is not chaos. It's calling. It's joy. It's purpose. The wilderness season is ending. You're about to step into the land I prepared for you, not just physically, but spiritually. A place of alignment, of truth, of rest. And as you go, I will confirm it again and again. Yes, this is the way. Walk in it. And now I seal every word, every promise, every healing moment. I surround you with my glory. I cover you in my love. I fill you again and again with my spirit. And I call you now by a new name: free. Amen. If this word spoke to you, write in the comments, I receive it. Share this with someone you love. You might be the reason their chains break too. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss what heaven is saying next.